Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Transport Fever 2. Coming at you with our Dedication Islands series. That's right. Since last we spoke, I decided on a name for our series here, and it is going to be Dedication Islands. I thought that was fitting. Kind of came to me in a moment of zen, and that's what we're calling it. Since we last spoke as well, I let the game simulate for about a couple years, maybe 2.5 years, trying to optimize the lines, add in some extra carriages on some of the lines that required more volume, if you will. So I also did this just to open up here, and I forgot to turn that back on. So I was just basically going around to each line saying, okay, how many guys we got here? Do we need more people? And we actually probably use a few more on this line even. Just finding out where we have excess, too many people waiting to get going places, basically. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually just because I noticed this one's actually still a little short, I'm going to put a couple more people on that line to Henduniapolis. And yeah, that's not really what I'm all that worried about. That Sheplin line, I just put 4 more on that, so that should start to level out. Curryburg line, I put some more on recently as well. That's something that those are kind of things I'll try to take care of offline for the most part between videos, because I don't want to be constantly buying vehicles and optimizing lines during our special time together. So what I am going to do is update you on a couple of other things that have occurred in those 2 to 3 years of simulation. I cut out the Dogetopia portion, or the leg, if you will, of the ferry line because the line was not doing well. It was expensive. I was going to have to buy at least a couple more ships in order to keep the rate up at a decent number. And I was not getting a lot of demand. They just, like, every time a boat got here, there'd be like 3 or 4 people waiting to leave. And it's just like, I guess people don't want to leave Dogetopia. So we decided to cut that one out. And now they're just banging back and forth between these two. And we've just started to make a little bit of a profit. What I have noticed is that if we can keep them around half full, 60 to 70 at least, so each ship half full going back and forth, we break even, maybe like a little bit of money. It'll be up and down, so we're just going to go ahead and let that continue to evolve, and maybe the demand will increase, and we'll be able to fill those ships up better. And of course, once we unlock a better ship, they will be making the trip faster. They'll pay more money to make that trip, and therefore, hopefully, the financial side of that line will be more applicable. But we do have our money maker, which is our Pax line between Dogetopia and Dediapolis. And I was thinking that it's possible that part of the reason why a lot of people weren't trying to leave Dogetopia via the ferry was because they had such a great opportunity to move north to Dediapolis on the train. The train was just a more attractive offer to so many people that they felt like the ferry wasn't cutting it. Whereas over here, the other option is to jump on the carriages and take a long ride north to one of these cities. And so this is maybe a little bit more appealing and a little bit more, it's just going to get chosen more often. So anyway, that's kind of where we're at right now. The lines are pretty well optimized. I maybe need a couple more carriages here and there to make them perfect. The next thing I want to do, I promised you that we were going to set up some industry this game, or on this particular episode. And I've decided to make it setting up the processing of tools. And what we're going to do is Joshland is going to be home to our first industry. And it's going to be the processing of logs into lumber in a sawmill. Now, or planks, I guess they call them, right? Yeah. So what I'm going to do is we're going to set up a rail line, and we're going to set up some industry. So the industry is going to go in here, and we're going to set up a rail line from Rangerton through Joshland and on to Shepland. And what I'm choosing to do is I'm going to make Shepland the location for tools. And the reason why is obviously I need it to be fairly close by to where we're making the planks. It only makes sense. You know, I don't want to, I mean, you could make it a long ways away, but right now I couldn't afford the infrastructure costs and the train costs, the upkeep costs on trains to travel long distances. So I need to keep it something that's fairly close by. So if I chose, for instance, like Morphous City, I'd have to go all the way up here with the lumber and then bring it all the way back or wherever to satisfy the needs for tools. So what I'm going to do is I'm basically going to have a line through here. And it also is going to be, because once I set up the trains on these lines, it's also going to probably make a pretty good PAX line that I can set up afterwards. I actually thought about the possibility of setting up a PAX line first because it's a safe bet to make good money. And it would allow us to start to get a bit more of a buffer. Whoops. You can see here we're about 2.5 million left we could borrow if we wanted to. And then, of course, we also have the 1.5 you see here. So I've got about $4 million to set this up. I don't think it'll be too difficult, but it's not. It's going to have to be a little bit stingy on our calculations here in order to make this work nicely. So what I want to do is, before wasting any more time, I'm going to jump in here and I'm going to try to reorganize the roads between Shepland and Joshland, and then of course Joshland onto Rangerton, just in order to clear up some space to make nice rail lines. So if you would come with me on a little journey, I would like to start real quickly implementing some new roads. So we're going to start like this, and I like to just line up the direction I want to go in. So I basically want to make the road right through here so that the rail could go over the top of it, basically. So from here to like here, basically. And just want to make sure that we're heading towards fairly flat land in here. So just, I don't want to be too, because we don't need that much room for the rail, right? So let's go ahead and say we're going to go from here to, no, I'm not going to buy this particular road at this very moment. I just want to see what it's going to look like. So we would go to like here, and then that's pretty good, and we can come around there and stay away from that hill as much as we can. So the biggest thing is a big mound here, obviously. So what we'll do is we'll make the road kind of go to the top on that same trajectory. We'll just keep on the same trajectory and kind of go to the top of that hill. Cut in a little bit. You can see we're cutting into a little bit, but not too much. Keeping it as cheap as we can, and then that way we're not cutting all the way in. Let's go ahead and plop that, and then we're basically going to be going back down the same hill. And of course, as long as we keep going in a straight line, we'll be fine. Now, this is where you have to kind of make a decision. So obviously, the shorter you make it, the steeper it's going to be because it's going straight down the hill. It's going to be cheaper. It's going to be cheaper to make the actual hill make the actual road because it's contouring perfectly to the road. But that's also kind of steep. And then of course, the further you make it out here, you're spending a lot more money on landfill, but it's obviously not going to be as steep because you're basically going down less hill over a longer period, right? So the slope is just going to be considerably less. So you have to make decisions on how much do I want to spend versus how steep do I want it. And I tend to split the difference myself and say, okay, well, I don't want to make it too steep, but as long as it's, relatively like this is not going to affect the speed of a vehicle too much or if at all. So as long as it's not going to make any real effect on the vehicle's speed, then I typically go ahead and run that out there. So we'll go like that. And then we're back onto a relatively flat area here. There's not going to be too much trouble. We can just run this out nice and straight. A little bit of fill in here, but it allows us to keep it nice and flat again. And let's go to right around here. And then we're going to start to turn. And then again, like I said, we're going to have nice room for the rail to come above here without getting into trouble with this hill here and having to spend a fortune to get around it. So I'm going to go like this and just going to straighten it out just a second before we start to turn again. Really, really nice flat land in here, which is good. Like this, and This is going to be deleted. I'm just going to go ahead and delete this out of the way because we can. It's manufacturing, so I'm going to clear out some space, and I'm basically just going to bring it into here. So what we can do is, what I like to do on these is just basically see what does it look like if I go all the way there, and you can see that it's 52,000 is a lot more than it would cost if we did it in short spurts. We are filling in a little bit of land along the way. And it's not really worth it. So, but it allows us to get an idea of where's the slope, okay? And then we're like, okay, let's go to here first. So there's, let's call it 11,000 to there. And then again, all of a sudden, if we just do those two stretches, instead of 55,000 or whatever that said, it's going to be 30,000. And then, but we can save a little bit more here. Potentially go 10. And then another 9. So actually, we didn't really save much there because it's pretty much perfectly flat. So we didn't really save ourselves much money by doing the second leg. But overall, saved some pretty good money. We've connected. No, I haven't connected this here. So we just have to do this into here. We didn't do a very good job of that, did we? Let me go like that first. Like, as the city expands, we can change that, but it looks nice there. So at this point, what we need to do is connect this old road in a couple of locations across here. It's a little bit of an expense, but it's fine. And what this will do is it'll give all of these other vehicles a chance. It's going to mess up the timing a little bit, maybe bunch them up some, but it solves the problem for us. So it gets the roads back and connected. Let's do another one here. Costs an extra 15 or 20,000, but it's what it is, right? So those will connect up. Once all of those are cleared up and back on the route that they need to, we can delete all that and we can put in our rail. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm actually going to press play and let the timer go because there's no point in not having it on at this point. I also need to do something similar along here. And of course, you don't want to have the game running and have a disconnected road going to another city. But what I can do is start with our plan. We basically want a road going to Joshland. The straighter the better. We've got fuel in the way, so we're going to have to come around it a little bit. So maybe around here, we start a line. Maybe around here we just start a line that goes straight through. So let's delete some of the roads that are going to be in our way. We can't delete the refinery because that's a basic thing there. So then I'm going to go with road. And we're just going to set up a line. And this is basically our direction right here, right? And it's pretty flat. I mean, 107,000, considering how long that road is, that's actually a pretty good deal. I'm not going to just plop that down because it's probably cost at most 60 or 70 maybe to do that same distance if we set it up properly. But you get your direction, and then you can line it up along here. So there's 16. Another 16's 32. Really nice and flat in here. Gets us to about 50,000. That gets us to about 65. And all of a sudden, for about 75,000, we did what was going to cost 115. Even though the 115 sounded like a good deal, by doing the short stretches, you just do a little bit of up and down over top of some of the mounds and save yourself a fair amount of cash in the long run. And here, I think I'm going to go ahead and spend that money to get us to here. Actually, you know what? I basically want to hit this, right? And we're pretty much lined up perfectly, which is beautifully done by me. I'm going to go ahead and bulldoze this. Just a sec. And just quickly run that in there. Like that. Make everybody happy. Happy. And then what I'm going to do is I'll just connect on this end. This I'll back up, and then it will make the decision. The line that runs there will make the decision automatically. If I could just zoom in and pick the line to Rangerton. Oh, I don't have it connected over here. That's I'm like, why is it not doing that? Okay, let me pause it real quick. I don't want to screw this thing up. So I'll delete that particular line there and hook it back in like that, and then we'll hook this back up like that. And what'll happen is, like I said, is this straight shot will obviously get chosen by the game to be the new location for that particular line. And so any car or any carriage that's on this road will keep going, but then they'll go back to this. So then again, I can delete that, and we've got the space to do it, just like that. So we have ourselves nice straight shots for the most part through there. I think I can definitely at this point delete this, get it out of our way, which is going to allow us to put our rails in. That. Now you have a nice quick line there too. That's going to save a lot of time on the transition as well. When you take away all those whoop-de-woos like that, it's going to make it so that they're much straighter, much more efficient line for those slow little carriages to go. And it'll make it a little bit more valuable of a line to have them like that. So it's good stuff. We can get some going here. Can definitely delete that. Can definitely delete here. Just want to get this cleared out so we can start to line up our rail lines there. Like that. And this guy is heading here. So that's good. So the line's going to basically be... There's definitely a spot here where I want the rail in Rangerton. I think that's a really good spot coming through here. And then it actually lines up pretty well to just swoop up there towards Henry-Neapolis if we need to. And then, of course, it'll be on a line here where we could... slide up through here towards like Kinshow, for instance, eventually have a rail line going that way. And the basic premise for this, what I want to do on this, is have a really set, intelligently laid out set of rails that go from city to city, so that with each city focusing on their own specific industry, it'll make it relatively simple to just go from city to city with all that. So it's just getting the resources to the city, and then all other transportation can just happen city to city and have a lot of simple transitions via rail. So we'll have a station here. In fact, we could just jump in here and actually throw it down. So let's go. This is going to be a throughput cargo station. Now, what will end up happening with these is I'll make it one station for now because, of course, we can't configure. I'm going to go ahead and make it 240 meters, I think, because it's not too much more expensive. And this way, we're kind of blocking off a lot of the space that we're going to need. And essentially, what we're going to do is be setting ourselves up long term for a location that'll have not just the train that's doing the cargo, but also we can put passenger on the other side of it as well, and then have it come in. Now, the only question is something that it might be a smart thing to think about, is which side of the tracks do we actually want? Do we want the cargo on this side and the passengers on this side for this entire stretch? Or would we rather have it be the other way around? Now, you can switch it from city to city, of course, because they're all going to be sharing the same set of tracks, and then you just, when they get to here, you would split them off at the city in order to decide. So, with this, I think it probably doesn't matter. We are actually nice. The demand for the tools is actually really close. So when we bring the tools this way, this is actually going to be very handy in order to distribute. So it makes a lot of sense to do it this way. And then with the passengers on this side, we can just hook up a road that goes on either side to go around, and we can probably to the north, I guess, or whatever this direction is. I guess we don't have you would come around on a road that comes into here and pass off people that way or whatever. So I think that this is a really smart spot to put this station here. I want to make it so that it is potentially somewhat parallel to this, so that we're going to have the road be parallel-ish to it with the rail. Not that they're going to be right up against one another, but just for symmetry's sake or whatever. And in this case, doing it that way would actually make it line up pretty nice with these roads as well. I might make one minor tick that way and be pretty happy about it. Yeah, okay. Now, I think what I would like to do is put in... how do I... be too far away here. I don't want to be way up here necessarily. I'd like to make it kind of within the city a bit more. So I think what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to put down a couple roads. I'm kind of thinking on the fly here, folks. I'm going to finish this guy off like that. And I'm going to try to go really central to this line and have a road go up. And just have it go up to there. Then I'm going to go ahead and put in the train station as discussed. Just so that it's able to connect. And I'm going to put it just like that. And that way, we can have the rail continue through here. I can make an adjustment and not have that interfere. I have room to put in truck stops or whatever is needed in here. There's plenty of room to expand and make a nice overall station with lots of space here. And the rail is going to be able to continue out. So let's go ahead and quickly throw down some tracks. I don't want to waste too much time because I'd like to have this done in one video. Obviously, we don't want to be splitting this up. I think if I can do it, this is so flat looking, it's worth spending the money to make sure this is perfectly flat through here for the early on trains, which obviously don't do particularly well on non-flat lands. So not cheap for sure. Is that straight? That's perfectly straight. I'm just going to spend the money, send straight out, and then again, this should line up right like this, and then we can bend in, so that's good. I do need to go ahead and delete this, and I just realized I am going to have to this Kinshow line to Rangerton, I think is a must-have. So what I'll do is I'll put the rail in first, like this. It's kind of annoying because, you know what, it'd be a lot cheaper if I just did one long line getting us to a slightly higher level, because you can tell we're just constantly digging the whole way. And if I could just get up just a hair and then go perfectly flat, it'd be so much cheaper. So we're just barely going to climb here just a moment to get to around here. And then press play, and then I can go press play, press OK. And then we can put this in here, and it's going to be a bit of a pricey road, but kind of got to just do it. So there we go. And that way we've got a nice flat junction there as well. Then go back to the rail. Let's throw this in here. And just keep trucking this along. And like I said, because we took the time to get up to the right level, this is so flat, it's costing us barely any money to lay this down, because I don't want to go too far here. Because the rail itself is already on the right level, whereas if we stayed down perfectly flat, we would have just dug a hole the whole way and cost us, you know, probably 3 times as much money. So We also need to find a optimal location where we would like to put in our industry. And that is going to be, the industry that's going to be happening in here is this one here. So what I was thinking is potentially they would go somewhere in here. At least one of them would go here. Potentially maybe even two. Long term, when I have the money to set up more, I might put it like up in here. And I can just go ahead and spend the money to move land. So what I was thinking is I could either do it like this or I could do it like this. It doesn't really matter. But I want to make sure that I put it in first and then have the rail just go above it versus hitting it. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pause and move some stuff around here. Boot those guys down this way. And have our line. Because what I need to do is I kind of want to have a nice straight line that cuts right across this. And so that means kind of going like this. And kind of getting to there. Start a little bit further down. And then the line itself, I want to come into here, but I don't mind if it's pretty much a sharp turn there because I want it to be fairly flat to here. So I'm going to go ahead and be happy with that. And I'm going to have this come straight out like that. And then just go like that real quick, like that. That's lined up nicely, and that's lined up nicely like that. Now we have a nice straight line here that we can set up our industry on, and that's going to be this. And I can do it either way, of course, obviously. I can have it go like this, or I can have it go like this. In order to do it this way, I would basically have to delete I have to delete the road. I think I'm going to actually do it like this, to be honest with you. Yeah, and then the access would happen on the other side. I actually like this. I mean, it connects on both sides, but I actually like this. I'm actually going to set that up. I'm not going to have it too close. But I do want it actually down some. It won't let me go up and down. Oh, well, okay. Yeah, I don't. Okay, I don't want it like that. I want it down. Okay. I like that. Kind of. Why is that costing so much money? I think that makes the most sense right there. Yeah, I like the look of that. We can delete this road. And I can even delete this. And we can just put in a regular dirt road for now. It's got kind of a weird... I hate how it's got the kind of a weird line. Like, you can kind of see this. But I'm going to go ahead and live with that. And live with that, like that. Kind of hooks us in. And then what I need to do is make this rail just miss that, essentially. So, and then of course I got to figure out the exact line I want to put this on as well. So let's go like this, delete that. I actually don't mind almost right on that level. Which means I probably would back this off and turn it a little earlier. And then that keeps us on a straight line that way. And then lines to the north would have to be dealt with. But I think I kind of like this. And I kind of want to do this. And I kind of want to do... no, shoot. I wanted to make the line all the way. I guess hopefully that's straight. Doesn't want to quite go straight. There we go. And then maybe this will be better. There we go. That's good. So then the rail yard can be right along here. And I think I want to do the residential staying on this side because the commercial is so close. Although... no, I'm okay with that, actually. Let's do the residential on this side. The only thing is it's an extra expense. If I do the rail, then I got to add on, and it's just more money spent. Passenger station. You know what? No. For now, I might end up, once I have lots of money, completely redoing the whole thing. But I gotta be smart the way I'm doing this. So I'm gonna go ahead and set this up right here on this. Let's just give you a cargo station right here, and then the long term I can go back and delete the whole thing and start it over, and that's a very likely possibility. So there you go. So what I will do now is actually back this off. As it turns out, and I'm gonna run this rail straight out of here. And see what happens there. That's all good on distance and speed. Works pretty well for me. And then we would continue out of here. And it looks like we're going to be right on the right line too. That's pretty nice. So let's go ahead and do that. Digging a great big old hole here. But it looks like... what I could do is do the same thing I did last time. It's still digging a pretty big hole, but it comes up to the right level here, which is, I think, the level I want to be on. And again, the longer you make it, the nicer the transition is. And I think I'm not going to quite go this far, but close. Like that. And then over in here, I'm going to have a terminus station. And I think it's going to be terminus. Yeah, I think it'll be terminus for this location. If anything, I might have a second station just to do that on the coast like this. But this is going to be exclusively, for now anyway, a station of cargo terminus, and we're going to set it up like this. Like that. One thing I hadn't thought about yet is going to be why doesn't it want to make a straight line? Okay, that's good. Is where I'm going to set up the industry, because I still have to set up the industry specifically. This is cargo terminus. There we go. Let's try this post. And I'm going to come straight out of here with the rail tracks. And then we'll see what it looks like to come around the corner. No. Maybe delete just one section of this. Aha, there we go. Looking good. 120 all the way. Not too expensive for that long of a stretch. So there's the rail going all the way through. Now, what the plan will be in the short term is, clear this out of the way. The plan is to bring in the wood on trucks in the short term. So just to temporarily bring it in, I think this one might be slightly closer. So we'll set up a road that's just as straight a shot as we can put together. Like this. And straight down across the tracks, basically. So it'll go straight in like that. And again, super flat area, so nice and quick and easy. Like that, and then straight across. Makes a nice rail. And then we'll just slide it right in here like that. And so basically it's going to be logs into the planks, like that. Logs to planks. And then the planks would have to be brought via truck. Because unfortunately I don't have this close enough. But it's fine, because in real life, generally speaking... Ooh, new train. Generally speaking, you're not going to have... you know, every industry set up right beside rails. Like, it might be a situation where we could do some kind of interesting setups in one or two of the cities where, you know, the industry is perfectly right by the rail or whatever. But for now, we would have to, we would have to get the shipments of the trucks up this way to get the planks there. The planks would then come to here. Upon which time we would have to set up in here. Now, the industry areas in here, what's the planks, so the tools look like? Not too bad, actually. I could see myself putting one right here. Get rid of that road. And just putting right there, right in the middle of the industrial area. It looks kind of cool. Let's get rid of that. And let's go ahead and put in a tools industrial section. Just like that. And actually, you know what? I could put it facing the other way and it would actually connect to the industrial. I'm not sure if it will. You know what I could do? Is if I put this line straight out like this, I'm not sure where does this reach. I'm not sure if that'll reach it or not. I kind of want to put it this way, but I could put it the other way. I could put it like this. But it makes more sense to look like this. I'm going to put it like this and way at the top. And what I could actually end up doing is putting one on each side of this road. So like that. Get rid of this road. And then hopefully do a nice straight shot just like this. That, and then it does reach. Woohoo! And then yeah, I could put another one on this side and that would look pretty good, I think. So there's tools coming in. So that's fantastic because the lumber comes in, gets made, and then tools can get right back on the same track and go right back out the other way. The only thing is you probably want a storage. I know you only need one storage area because you don't need storage for the lumber coming in, just the tools going out. So that makes sense. Boom, like that. So we need truck stations. And I know we're getting on in time here. We're right over the 40-minute mark, and I don't want to be crazy long here, but I want to get this done. So let's get a truck station. And we're going to want it to be relatively long. It's only going to need one location. And I'm going to, whoops, no, like that. I'm going to need it to spin to win. And we'll set it in right along this road here like this. Like that. And we'll just go from here, and then we'll set up the drop-off station. Let's see here. Now this is interesting because we're actually going to need one on each. We're going to want a couple here because we're going to want the logs coming in and the planks going out to the rail yard. So we're actually going to need a nice. Here, I'm just going to set this up simple for now. Excuse me. Go like that. And then that's bang bang. Done. The only thing left to set up excuse me, is the delivery. And then, of course, setting up the trains and stuff. And what I think I might actually do is we're at 42 minutes. I don't want these to be super long. I would have liked to have been a little bit quicker about this, but by the time we deleted a bunch of roads and put in new roads and then put in the tracks and put in the stations, it doesn't feel like I made a lot of progress in this one. But when we come back, I will have put the lines in, and then right away we'll buy the trains and we'll actually watch it all together as it unfolds, and we set up our first industry. So we set up our first lines of rail in the mainland here, which is fantastic. And we're going to have wood coming in, and we'll have probably have this wood set up to come in as well before too long. And then we'll make some planks, send them over here where we will produce them, and then we will send them out. And to start, we have two spots close by to start, obviously, to send them. We have a rail set up so we can just have a line just absolutely delivering them to there. And then that will be perfectly fine. And then, of course, we could set up a line of maybe some rail at some point that I'll have to want to go down there. So that looks pretty good. But anyway, this has been the end of this episode. Do not forget, if you're having fun, you're enjoying yourself, and you want to watch more, you got to hit that subscribe button, ring that bell. We're going to do an episode every day of the series, and obviously other ideas I have in mind for other series and other games. So stay tuned for that, and I do appreciate you hanging out. Do not forget to hit that like button and subscribe. I really appreciate the support, guys, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.